If you've ever heard anything as an embarrassing win, that is what Manchester United just served you. Yes, an embarrassing win. I felt so ashamed. I felt so embarrassed. And you could see from the players, they were not happy. Harry Maguire said something after the game. He said that perhaps when they wake up in the morning, it will just dawn on them that they've qualified for another final in the FA Cup. Manchester United played against Coventry in the FA Cup final, led by 3-0 as at the 61st minute. Knowing Manchester United and watching the game with my brother Kwame Nchubuesi, who is back on the podcast today, I told them that the game would end 5-3 in favor of Manchester because United was going to concede. Little did I know that, yes, there were going to be that number of goals. I predicted 7 goals. Yeah, there were going to be 6 goals, but it was going to be 3 apiece. How Manchester United, where are we? Where do we stand? I know you feel, you saw the video we played in the intro. It sums up every United fan when Coventry scored that goal that was ruled out for offside. I mean, it was devastating. Kwame, you're welcome back to the pod. How are you doing? We reported that you were not feeling well, but you are back.
What a way to welcome me back. What a way.
This is very interesting. So United won. I nearly said lost. Actually, we actually deserved to lose that game. If you're United,
it actually does feel.
Exactly. I mean, it felt like a loss. Let me hear you before I go for.
Well, I think both of us have been supporting this club for the best part of 25 years.
Yes.
And I've not had this feeling before, ever supporting this club, where we've actually won a significant game and we feel ashamed, embarrassed. It feels like a loss. I can't explain it. It's very strange. But then you can't take any joy out of what we just witnessed this evening. It's weird.
It's very
weird.
But
then it sums up Manchester United this season perfectly. There is no situation that epitomizes how chaotic and how embarrassing the season has been so far. There was no better news. I don't know whether you want us to dig into the game right now, but then for starters, that's all I can say.
Let's listen to Erik ten Hag. He was asked if this was an embarrassing win, and he said something. He has something to say. Let's listen to Erik ten Hag and what he said to the press. Video credits, Sky Sports. This is what Erik ten Hag had to say. Let's listen to him.
Can you understand why Manchester United fans, many of them, will be embarrassed at the way you've got to the final? Obviously, they're happy you're there, but embarrassed at the manner in which you've made it there.
No, I don't. I can't see that word because in the end of the day, it's about the achievement. And I see the mistakes we make. We can't look away from it, but it's not an embarrassment. It's, as I say, it's a huge achievement. So even a big team from United from a decade ago, they only achieved the final 3 times. We now 2 times in 2 years. So that's a good performance. And that, with all the setbacks we have in this season, also today, that 3-3, it's absolutely crazy, that decision. And when is there consistency, then we should get a penalty to make the 4-3 as well. And that was more a handball than the penalty we concede. And that happens also lately many times. It was Chelsea had 2 crazy penalties. It was Liverpool penalty also, very debatable. So that happens also. And it looks like it's like a curse against us. But we will take energy from this, and we go in the last weeks, and we have to build the confidence and to take advantage from this as well.
All right. So thank you very much. So that was Erik ten Hag for him, he said it is an achievement. It wasn't embarrassing. I mean, he goes on to admit that we lost control of the game at some point and all of that. But for him, he said it wasn't an embarrassment. Kwame, for me, it was a huge embarrassment, like you said in your intro. But let's delve deep into the game. Let's pick some key talking points. For most part, we felt the game was done and dusted as at the 61st minutes. I mean, I was watching the game and we were in communication, and I was telling you that this is one game that I'm watching and relaxing in my couch. I wasn't even seated. I was sleeping in my couch. Now, when it was 3-2, I had to readjust myself, although I was still sleeping in the couch. Then the penalty came, then I had to sit. I'm like, no, this is serious business. Something is going to happen. Let me start with you. From the mentality of the players, there is a big problem. I mean, you can blame the coach. We will get to the coach and his issues. But for a professional footballer that plays for Manchester United, a club of such magnitude, how do you allow yourself to lead by 3-0 against a championship side? With all due respect, they played their way to get to this point. But to lead by 3-0 and get to this point. And this is not the first time. Against Wolverhampton Wanderers, it happened. Against Chelsea, it happened. Against Brentford, it happened. Against Liverpool in the Premier League, it happened.
We have to go all the way back to even the start of the season, our Champions League campaign against, was it?
Galatasaray, against Galatasaray.
Against Galatasaray away, it happened again. Against Copenhagen away, it happened again. So it's been...
What do you think is the problem? Let me hear you.
All right, so I'm going to rip everybody and everything apart, basically. I'll start from Erik ten Hag himself. For some time now, I've been calling this season very reminiscent of another Dutchman's tenure at Manchester United. Louis van Gaal?
Louis van Gaal, yeah.
It seems to be going the very exact same way as his very last season at Manchester United, where the wheels completely came off during the last 6 months of the season, and we were fighting for dear life. And at the end of the day, it was still this very same FA Cup.
Yeah.
That's chaotically we got to a final. If some fans don't remember, we scraped an FA Cup replay against West Ham. The first leg we were supposed to lose at home.
Yeah.
Dimitri Payet scored a stunning free kick against here, and then we came back with a late Martial equalizer or something like that. And the second leg, we turned them over somehow. Yeah. We're not supposed to even get into that semi-final. Semi-final, we scraped through again with a Martial late goal
against Everton.
And then in the final, if anybody can remember how that final went,
after Jason Panshin scored that goal,
we went down by a man somehow. Lingard scored the winner, and then we lifted that trophy. It was chaotic from start of that season till the very end. And another Dutchman has come in, and in what seemingly looks like it could be his last season at Manchester United, is going through a very similar phase. Yeah. And it's this same cup competition that's maybe his saving grace. And guess what? It's just as chaotic. Chaotic against Newport. We took a 2-0 lead, and somehow in League 2, League 1, I can't remember which league they're in. Back, clawed their way back, and then got back into the game somehow we were able to get over the line. Then against Liverpool, I don't know how we won against Liverpool. A lot of passion, a lot of heart, a lot of desire. What I feel was probably our best game of the season. Although spells of that game suggested we should have lost.
You should have battered us, especially in the second half.
Showed some grit and passion and got over the line and then knocked the Scousers out. And then we get to Wembley and we are leading comfortably after 60 odd minutes. But let me tell you one substitution that points a lot of fingers at Erik ten Hag's game management, because like you pointed out before, in about 5-6 games in a row, we have been at the wrong end of results down the stretch where we should have managed games better. We're considering a lot of goals after the 90th minute, meaning that we are not managing games properly to the very end. He has his excuses with personnel. I think they are valid excuses. But today, I'm not letting him off the hook because he made one particular substitution. A lot of people point to the Garnacho sub as one point. I totally do not agree with that. But there was one particular one that he made which baffles me and which got us into the trouble that we got into. I always say whenever Scott McTominay starts a football game, it means there's going to be chaos. It's going to be end-to-end basketball. And Scott McTominay has been injured for the best part of like a week or two.
Yes.
He did say in pre-match that he wasn't completely fit. He just got back into training.
Yes.
Started Scott McTominay ahead of Eriksen, who should have started the game, in my opinion, to help us with more control. Scott McTominay did get us a goal, all right. He did score, get on the score sheet. And that's the thing. That's what's probably always making him turn to him. But he took off Kobe Mainoo in and around that 60-odd minutes.
Yeah.
Dropped Scott McTominay into Kobe Mainoo's position, a deeper position.
Yeah.
From that advanced 8th position into the 6th position. A player who has not been fit for a while.
Mm-hmm.
A player who has not played that position consistently this season for a long time.
Yeah.
And you took out probably our best midfielder at present.
Yeah.
And you dropped Scott McTominay, who is not fit,
mm-hmm.
who doesn't have the attributes to retain possession.
Yeah.
Into the 6th position, where we needed to exert control of the football game from that moment to the very end.
Yeah.
And what makes that decision even worse is that Scott McTominay couldn't finish the game because of an injury. You see, when people point fingers to certain errors that the coach is making that may be causing some of these injuries, it's not the distances that they are running for me. It's decisions like this. You are in a hell of a position, terrible position when it comes to personnel. You should be smart enough to be able to manage what you have as well as you can. Yet you are predisposing some of your own players whom you've turned to this season to injuries. Scott McTominay goes off, and now that midfield comprises of Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen, and was it Ahmad?
Yeah.
At a point. That midfield can't stop anything.
Yes.
Behind that midfield, you do realize you're playing a couple of centre backs, whom one isn't fit for starters, and the other, Casemiro, isn't a centre back and is having a 90-minute season. No shield, no protection. And that speaks to ill game management by the coach today. For the first time in a long time, I saw fear in his eyes.
Yes.
I saw a man who probably just said to himself, I'm overwhelmed by the situation right now. I can't believe what is happening and I can't do anything about it. The last time I saw a manager look like that was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the Europa League final, where going into extra time, he looked defeated.
Yeah.
He epitomized his team on the football pitch. A defeated man before the actual shootout even started. So I'm surprised this team guarded the balls, the cautions, to be able to go through that penalty shootout and still win it. So I give them credit for that, as Erik ten Hag himself did. He said that we should still give this team credit to have the guts to go through that penalty shootout and win it. Because usually, when you see a team, you see a manager reflect his team like that, you automatically know we're not going to win that shootout.
Yeah.
I did not think, both of us did not believe we're going to win that shootout.
I felt if it goes to the penalty shootout, we're just not going to qualify.
And then the players. I'm going to get in on the players now. And I'll start with our big money players. Casemiro and Marcus Rashford. Casemiro looks completely out of sorts.
Yeah.
That penalty shootout, as the senior most player, as the highest earning player, as the most experienced player in my books, when it comes to those moments, that was an embarrassment of a cake.
Yeah.
And that cake actually summarizes his entire season this season. He's been shambolic.
Yeah.
Injuries aside, what we've seen of Casemiro this season is nothing short of embarrassing. Marcus, you know I'm a big fan of Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
But then there's no excuse for his output this season. He was doing a sucker at the end of the day, but he's hobbling around and all that.
Yeah.
But then output on the football pitch after his output last season is nothing short of disastrous.
Just like
what I want to see from that boy right now is that the complete opposite.
Worlds apart.
It's miles apart, Kwame, miles apart, and it's affecting our team right now because when it comes to certain moments, you need your big players to step up.
Absolutely.
He's the biggest player. I've always said he's not supposed to be. That's one of the failures of Manchester United. The fact that Marcus Rashford is our leader when it comes to our offense, to me, should never happen.
Yeah.
But then that's the situation. As a £300,000 a player, as a homegrown player, as the most experienced forward that we have, his output, his attitude, his application is nothing short of embarrassing. And what I want to see right now for him is, if he is indeed out with an injury, he actually needs time off the team. Honestly, not even coming on as a sub. He needs time off the team to reflect on his performance this season. Yeah. Reflect on his role that he played this season as a Manchester United player, homegrown player, supposed to love the club, supposed to give everything for the club. Yeah. What we are seeing is nothing short of a complete embarrassment. Him aside, I feel there are some players who are playing out of position and it's given us problems. A case in point is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Yeah. We have seen him give away 2 penalties. That is uncharacteristic of him. Yeah. But then I feel it's because of the position that he is playing. Kudos for actually pointing that out, that there are some players who are playing out of position and it's not helping them. He is one of those players. You know, there's some players when they are playing in certain positions, not their natural positions, they don't have the, in quotes, talent to be able to adjust to new positions. Yeah. Angles are wrong, decision making is wrong, all based on the fact that you are in a position that you are completely unfamiliar with. He's making uncharacteristic errors. One huge one against Liverpool and one huge one today. Some may say the penalty is harsh. I may agree with those people because, you know what, we just saw what happened yesterday in the clash against
Chelsea versus City and Chelsea.
Right, exactly, where Grealish got away with a blatant penalty. Let's just not go back and forth about it. That is a blatant penalty. Yet you see these decisions go against Manchester United. But ask yourself, how do we end up in positions like or in situations that allow these things to happen in the first place? Yeah. Get it? What game management, players playing out of position, players unfamiliar with the positions that they're supposed to be playing in. But then, in as much as I'm bashing the manager, I'm bashing some players, I'm having a go at referees, I would still give some players the credit for still standing up to the task today. Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire. I can't believe I'm saying this about Harry Maguire, but then he's a man amongst men. The reason why I say this is he's taken in a lot of bashing. He's been torn apart for his performances over the past couple of seasons. But in a season where everybody expected him to not be at the football club anymore, he's shown his value. He's shown a lot of heart, a lot of courage. He's not fit. It's clear he's not fit, but he's putting his body on. And he's one of those players who kept on driving, pushing us forward, pushing for a goal no matter what. He's putting his body on the line. He's putting himself, the club first, ahead of himself. That's so clear and that's admirable. I'd give him everything. Yeah. Bruno Fernandes, I see a lot of fans on social media having a go at our. Yeah. Bruno Fernandes in any of the title contenders is one of the best players in those teams. Yeah. He can play for City, he can play for Liverpool, he can play 1,000% play for Arsenal. And he will be of great value than most of them. Because he's a really good player. Yeah. It's like the Robson of our time, you know, Robbo in the 80s.
Brian Robson,
was going through a very similar phase where the team wasn't really good. He was our best player, but yet a lot of blame was put on his shoulders. We always look for people to blame. It's natural as fans. Yeah. And Bruno Fernandes happens to be someone whom, despite giving his all, people would point to certain negatives because we have to blame someone for our feelings. The failings don't go, it's not just for our best players. It's not, we shouldn't be like attacking our best players very often. The failing is actually on the football club for not building good teams around very good players that we've had over the past decade. Bruno Fernandes is suffering because of it, but today he's the only one who wanted to win that football game for us. In extra time, he almost put us in the lead. He kept on trying, and over the past weeks, he's been brilliant. People will notice it because we're not getting the W's, and that's the problem. We've 4 out of the last 5 games since the international break.
We've not won any game except for today.
Scoring the goals, he's driving us forward as a captain, but then what else is around him is simply not good enough at the moment. And we need to be pointing fingers at him. The last person that I give credits to is Andre Onana. He has turned his season around. He's playing with he's conceding shots, he's conceding goals, but then now fans are beginning to admit that it's not necessarily the goalkeeper's fault. There is not a good back line in front of him. There is not a system that is working in front of him to reduce these things from happening. And he's suffering. But in and amongst all this suffering, he's still a shining light right now. He's making crucial things. And in that penalty shootout, he's the one who brought us back into that bloody football game. So yeah, credit to those players, but then there's a lot more that has to be spoken about.
A lot more that has to be spoken about, but we don't have much time. But we'll be in the course of the week, we'll be dealing with that with our special guest on the podcast. But I saw Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Avram Glazer at the stadium. They cast, I don't know, there was a part where they were laughing, and there was a part where they seemed very, very disappointed at what they were witnessing in the game. And prior to coming into the game, Sir Jim Ratcliffe was at the London Marathon, and he ran, under 2 hours, or at 2 hours, he was able to finish his marathon. And we're 71 years old.
Halfway through the marathon after 2 hours. It took him far longer than that.
and that was amazing. Halfway through, actually, sorry. And that was amazing for a 71-year-old who has been running a lot of marathon. But he was asked after the marathon some very questions about, the interviewer compared running a marathon and running Manchester United and how difficult it is. He shared some very interesting thoughts about how difficult it is, that it will take time and the fans have to be patient. And he said something about the new stadium that he wishes is built for the club. Let's listen to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. When we come back, we'll delve into what he spoke about.
How does the pain and everything you go through from running a marathon compare to some of the battles and challenges you're facing at the moment as the boss of Manchester United?
Well, I think there are some parallels, I have to say, but I think it just sort of requires some grit, doesn't it? Always in the marathon, after 30k, it gets quite difficult. And I don't think we're quite at 30k with the football yet.
No, how far would you say? You at half marathon yet?
No, we're not even there really. Probably the first 10k. But it's a long journey really, the football, because one of the biggest problems we've got in football is you get these new guys to come into the team, really capable people, but they're all on gardening leave. And so it takes you 6 months or a year or 18 months before they can. It's a real issue in football, To make a change, you need to bring some new people.
Well, if you want to bring really good people in, you're obviously If you want to bring really good people in, you're obviously having to do deals with where they are.
Correct.
Then they've got periods of time where they can't work, and presumably that's affecting your strategy about which players you bring in.
They can't work for us. The fans are impatient, and I have some sympathy with that.
I knew
that, yeah. But it's a journey, People, whether they like it or not, they have to be a bit patient because it's not a light switch. You can't just turn it around like that. It takes a bit of time.
And a small matter as well of potentially building a new giant stadium as well.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, if we can do that, I think that would be fantastic for the north of England too. I think that whole area of southern Manchester, it's where the Industrial Revolution began. That's why they built Old Trafford there, because the workers had finished their shift and they'd walked to the ground. There wasn't any public transport or anything. So it was where industry and manufacturing began in the world. It's a really important area, but it's run down. So to regenerate that area and build a Wembley of the North would be I think it would be a marvellous project, really, if we can achieve it.
Wembley, and also perhaps inspiration from what's happened at Stratford and how that area has been regenerated.
Yeah,
with the
and
Olympic
that sort of
Stadium.
Lord Coe was heavily involved in all that, and of course he's taken on the mantle with the that regeneration project in South Manchester as well. So, anyway, I need to get to the match.
Yeah, don't worry, we're going to let you go. You get yourself off to Wembley. I'm not sure how you're getting there. I imagine it's not the tube, but whatever way.
No, it's definitely not the tube.
Whatever way.
All right, so that was Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Very interesting thoughts there about the fact that the people that he needs to start work at United are having to serve gardening leave, and it's become a huge obstacle. So he's not getting the people they refer to as the best in class to start working on things immediately. And also, there is the issue of the stadium that he talked about and the reason why he'd want to put up such a stadium. Kwame, you've heard Sir Jim Ratcliffe and what he spoke about. We don't have much time. We have about just some 5-6 minutes to wrap things up. But let's quickly get into it. He said Erik ten Hag's future will be in focus, definitely, if you watch what happened in the game. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe always spoke about the environment and fixing the environment and getting the right people in there. Today we saw Jason Wilcox, whose appointment has been confirmed as a technical director and is likely to help in leading the recruitment drive for the club this season, given that the issue of Dan Ashworth has still not been resolved because Newcastle United are still playing hardball with us. And that was what Sir Jim Ratcliffe was talking about. And Omar Barada would not start until July. Definitely a lot of things. Kwame, how do you see all these things playing out? It's definitely making things very difficult.
Yes, you just hit the nail on the head. Things aren't as easy as fans think it actually is, or it's going to be.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. See, this is not in defense of Erik ten Hag, but what I would say is if any manager comes into the current state of the club, that manager is simply set up to fail.
Yeah.
Until these changes are implemented and these men come into force and are able to put their imprint on the football club.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult for any manager to come into the football club at present.
Yeah.
And second, the reason why I say this is there are certain things that are happening on repeats, on replay. Fans may not have paid attention to it because fans will live in the moment. But when you take the whole 11 years into account, we've had good managers in Louis van Gaal, we've had a very good manager in Jose Mourinho. Ten Hag is a good manager. He doesn't become a bad manager overnight.
Yeah.
Those two previous managers I've mentioned did not become bad managers overnight. Yet they all complain about pertinent, very, very similar things that have culminated in them not being successful over a period.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes back to exactly what Sir Jim Ratcliffe was saying.
Yeah.
That this is like the 30-kilometer race, the first 30-kilometer race of a marathon, and we are not even at 10 kilometers yet.
Yes.
But what is frustrating about the process, despite the fact that fans are impatient, is the fact that you can't get the men that you want as quickly as possible.
Yes.
And this is where I feel Erik ten Hag's saving grace may be, because he made mention of a timeline with respect to trying to get these people in place. It may take us 6 months, it may take us 12 months, it may take us as long as 18 months. Mm-hmm. He did not mention things randomly. Since he became part owner of Manchester United, that was almost 3-4 months ago.
In December.
Yes, it's going to take us 6 months to get Omar Barada to start work.
Yes.
It's going to take us a month or two to get Wilcox to start work properly.
Yeah.
It's going to take us longer to get our sporting director to start work.
Yeah.
You put these people together. These are the men that Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Roseford are going to entrust to sit down and decide on the style of play of this football club and decide on which manager will suit the style of play that they decide on, and then decide on which players to sign for this manager. Yeah. If these people are not in place in time for the summer, how then do they make a decision on which manager they are going to go forward with?
Yeah.
They may just as well just say to themselves that this manager has just a year left. Mm-hmm. He's in a process, and let's just see how the process goes. He has his transfer list. Recruitment team have been working with him with his transfer list. What we can do is what we just did in January, where we supervise whatever actions that these people take at this football club and hope that they make the right decisions. This will buy us enough time to make sure that we get almost everybody that we want in place. And then we move forward from there if it is going to be Erik ten Hag or going to be their own man. That's exactly how I see things playing out. And it was quite telling that those words actually did come out of the mouth of our owner. On the stadium, perfect. We need a new stadium. You know my thoughts on that.
Of course. I mean, we've discussed it thoroughly here.
It's a relic, and we need to move on.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new banner tonight? Yeah. Did you see the new? That's
course.
The kind of Manchester United deserves.
Well, thank you very much, Kwame. Thank you very much for joining and watching. If this is your first time watching this, please remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. If you've been watching and you've not subscribed yet, please remember to do so. We'll be coming your way in the course of the week with a lot more content on United Today and then United and Everything Football podcast. We have a special guest in the course of the week where we'll discuss a lot more of the issues that are happening. A lot is expected to happen in the course of this week. As Jason Wilcox has been confirmed, I hear Newcastle United are interviewing a new director of football. And if they should make a selection as quickly as possible, it means that things can accelerate very fast with Dan Ashworth. To see how best things works out. And as it stands, Sergeant Ratcliffe and the team are doing their very, very best to accelerate all of these actions because as you heard from his own mouth, they are trying very much to accelerate this process so they can get these people to start the process. He says that fans are impatient, but we have to be patient because it's not like a light switch that you switch on and off and things change. You've seen other clubs being run in a way that you are envious of, but you forget that it goes through a process. We've been through a rot over the last 11 years. We've been through the rot over the last 11 years under the mismanagement of Ed Woodward of our football, not the finances, of our football, where things have not been properly aligned, where coaches with different styles of play have come in with different transfer strategies. Everything messed up. And if you listen to some of the old players that have been with this club before, from Cristiano Ronaldo to Ibrahimovic to Schweinsteiger, they tell you a lot of things behind the scenes that are not rosy. So it is going to take time. It's a clarion call for all of us. We need to rally. Sergeant Ratcliffe says, let's give him about 2 to 3 years to lay the foundation. He says it can't go beyond 5 years because then fans will be impatient. Let's give them time. Let's hope that things get better with Manchester United. My name is Kwame and his name is Kwame. Thanks for joining. We hope to see you in the course of the week on United and Everything Football podcast and also United Today. Have a great time and we'll see you on the next one. But remember, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Subscribe.
All right, see you. Bye-bye.